Have you ever wondered which is the greatest single-season NHL team of all time? In 2022-23, the Boston Bruins set new records for wins and points but failed to advance past the first round of the playoffs. So, who is if they are not the best of all time? The 1976-77 season was a historic one for the Montreal Canadiens as they dominated the NHL. Led by coach Scotty Bowman, the Canadiens finished the regular season with a record of 60 wins and only 8 losses. Their star goalie Ken Dryden had a remarkable season, allowing only 2.07 goals against average. Offensively, the team was led by Guy Lafleur, who scored 56 goals and 80 assists in the regular season, followed by Steve Shutt's 60 and Jacques Lemaire's 34 goals, not to mention an additional 5 players who scored 20 goals or more. By season's end, they would outscore the opposition by a whopping 216 goals, a differential of 2.76 goals per game. Considering how dominant the Montreal Canadiens of the 1970s were, is interesting. In 5 seasons of the 1970s, the Canadiens, beginning in 1972-73, had the greatest NHL per season goal differential of all time, with the 1976-77 season topping the list at number 1, a record that stands today. 4 of those seasons were consecutive, excluding the 1972-73 season. The previous record was held by the 1970-71 Boston Bruins, who are second all-time with 192 goals. The Canadiens would own the 5 top positions if not for the Bruins. The goal differentials range from a low of 145 goals for the 1972-73 season to the record of 216 for the record-breaking season of 1976-77. They had a formidable lineup with Larry Robinson, Serge Savard, and Guy Lapointe on defense. Of the 24 players on the roster, 14 were drafted by the Canadiens. 10 players from this dynasty went on to be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Yvan Cournoyer, 1982, Guy Lapointe, 1993, Jacques Lemaire, 1984, Serge Savard, 1986, had been members of the Canadiens' previous dynasty. They were joined this time by Ken Dryden, 1983, Bob Gainey, 1992, Guy Lafleur, 1988, Rod Langway, 2002, Larry Robinson, 1995, and Steve Shutt, 1993, and Scotty Bowman also is an honored member, inducted in 1991. The summer after their 4th Cup victory, 3 key players, Ken Dryden, Jacques Lemaire, and Yvan Cournoyer, announced their retirements, and coach Scotty Bowman left to become GM and coach in Buffalo. During the 1976-77 playoffs, the Canadiens faced tough competition, but didn't disappoint their fans. They defeated the St. Louis Blues in just 4 games in the quarterfinals, outscoring them 19-4 and shutting them out in Game 2. They dispatched the New York Islanders in 6 games in the semifinals, outscoring them 19-3 and shutting the Islanders out in 2 of those games, earning a spot in the Stanley Cup Finals. They then met the Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup Final, sweeping the Bruins in 4 games and outscoring them 16-6. The final game was a 2-1 decision, decided early in the first overtime by a Jacques Lemaire goal assisted by Guy Lafleur. This victory marked the Canadiens' 20th Stanley Cup championship. The 1976-77 Montreal Canadiens are often considered one of the greatest NHL teams ever, if not the greatest. Their dominance on both ends of the ice was remarkable, and their achievements are still celebrated today. Montreal lost only 8 games, a modern-era record that has never been tied or broken, even when counting only regulation losses. Including lockout and pandemic-shortened seasons, they earned at least a point in 72 games, which is still an all-time record. Of the 24 players on the roster, 14 were drafted by the Canadiens: Pierre Bouchard, Rick Chartrand, Ryan Englund, Bob Gainey, Régent Houle, Guy Lafleur, Michel Larocque, Pierre Mondu, Bill Nyrop, Doug Riseborough, Larry Robinson, Steve Shutt, Mario Tremblay, and Murray Wilson. The only player on the roster not developed by the Canadiens was Peter Mahovlich. Only recently has the historic regular season of the 1976-77 Montreal Canadiens been matched. The 1995-96 Detroit Red Wings eclipsed the all-time record of most regular season wins with 62, previously set at 60 by the 1976-77 Montreal Canadiens. This record was later tied by the 2018-19 Tampa Bay Lightning, 62 wins, and broken by the 2022-23 Boston Bruins, 65 wins. The Bruins set a new NHL record for most wins and points in a season with 65 wins and 135 points, respectively. surpassing the records previously held by the 2018-19 Tampa Bay Lightning, 1995-96 Detroit Red Wings, and 1976-77 Montreal Canadiens. The NHL regular season is a tough 82-game grind. Very few teams have accomplished what the 1976-77 Montreal Canadiens accomplished, let alone win the Stanley Cup in the same season. In my view, and in the eyes of many, they are the greatest NHL team ever assembled. In the comments, please name a team that you feel is equal to or better than the 76-77 Canadiens and why. Hey hockey fans, if you enjoyed this content, please slap that subscribe button. You can also follow my blog at https://tedtalkshockey.com, and remember to keep your stick on the ice. Thanks for watching.